see. Welcome. There we go. Welcome everybody to the Rich Code Club. Today I am very excited to have a very special speaker that I had the honor of meeting on our Rich Code Club Mastermind. He is the legendary Victor Hansen. And let me tell you a little bit about Mark if you don't know about him. Mark is an inspirational and motivational speaker, trainer, and an author, and he is responsible for umpteen books that we're going to talk about. I really need to know, Mark, how the heck do you write 300 books? And Chicken Soup of the Soul, and so many more, and the book Ask. And he just has a wealth of knowledge. And Mark, I'm going to invite you to the stage. Let's see. And get you up here. Let's see. Can we do it, Mark? Sometimes, when you send the link.
All right.
Oh, there you go. Hey,
yeah.
Welcome. Yeah. All right.
Remember, I've been writing books 50 years. I'm getting some echo. Are you getting echo?
I'm not getting echo. Let's see.
I don't know what to do.
Feedback? I don't know either. Here, hold on 1 second. Oh, you know what? Maybe, perhaps, let me see here. Let me make sure this is off.
The echo's, no, it's still echoing in my side. So,
do you have earphones in? It doesn't look like it.
No.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, take those out. Let's try that.
Okay.
What about now?
Okay, no echo. How's that?
That's good.
Okay, now I'll turn this up. Okay, now talk, if you would, please.
All right.
Oh, perfect. Okay, we got it.
Yeah.
First time I've had that problem. Thank you for being patient.
Of course. I'm happy to have you on the show. And, oftentimes we have this technology issue. I don't know what it is, but whatever. We're past it now. And I'm excited to talk to you and have you share so many things. I mean, you are a wealth of knowledge when we were on that Zoom call. And I'm thinking, because as a writer, I'm thinking, tell us, please, where did you get all the inspiration for so many books?
First of all, that's a great question that I have not heard exactly that. I believe inspiration is the key that turns on the engine to all life. Therefore, I believe you ought to read self-help action books at least once a week. And I'd love people to do mine and at least one autobiography or biography a month. And this is my newest one, which is a biography of the year last year called Relentless. So I'm even more keen on it than I used to be. And if you look here at my library, there's over 50,000 books. I haven't read every one word for word, but I've highlighted what I needed to and noted and written all over them stuff that goes into everything else that I do. I mean, and my wife and Jack and my other co-authors have said, how is it you remember all that stuff? And I cannot tell you how, but here's what I believe. You got a body, which is just physical. You got a brain, which is what is imploded with universities and high schools and schools. Then you got a mind, which can do intuition and imagination. And my teacher was Buckminster Fuller. Dr. Fuller's teacher was Einstein. And Einstein says imagination is more important than reality. And that's where I live. But then you got a higher level, which is soul, which is where you deal with all things are possible. And that's where I spend. You transcending consciousness and you figure out what you want. And I've been able to transcend and figure out what the market wants before the market knows what it wants. Mm-hmm. And then I write to that. Like I've got a lot of money books out, and I think we're in a money crisis with the bank this weekend, but the 1 Minute Millionaire, which is still a bestseller and number one in places like Greece and Vietnam and South Korea, and I wrote it 22 years ago. So, and you get paid on all those books, but I keep writing, and I've got audios out right now on YouTube that called Money Wants Me, because I think with 500,000 people fired in the last month in tech, they need to know how to do instant money. And I did do a book called Cash in a Flash, and another one right here called Cracking Millionaire Code. I'm not trying to overemphasize my books. I'm just saying, hey, look, if you watch the cycles of the universe, two guys wrote us out of the last two depressions. In 1898, it was Horatio Alger, and I've won the Horatio Alger Award in the U.S. Supreme Court. You get a gold medal, 1 to 10 on an annual basis. Means you've been grown up and become rich, from rags to riches, and a giant philanthropist. And number 2 is Wallace Science, Getting Rich. And then last depression, 29-39, Napoleon Hill, 1937, came out with Think and Grow Rich, which is like a critical book that everyone should always read. And I even have a signed copy that Bob Proctor, one of my business partners, gave me. I may be going too far with you, but there's one from 1937 signed by Napoleon, Dr. Hill.
Awesome.
NAP, the SAP they called him. And the other one is my minister in New York used to be Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. Then they wrote us out. So, and just, I got to go one step further, and I'm sorry if I'm over talking, but because I do YouTubes every day, minute shorts and longs, and I love doing it. And I'm trying to help everybody because it's free right now. You can watch and learn anything you want from me. And there's so much I want to share, of course, but some kid wrote in, self-help books are dumb. And I wrote him back because I thought, what? I said, well, that's great. Show me how many millionaires you made, and I'll show how many I've made, and we'll see who's got more.
Or how many books have you read?
Yeah, how many books have you read? And you are obviously not reading the books that are going to change your life. That's the problem.
That's
I mean, there's a lot of books I've read that every one of them changed my life, because I believe 3 things in business and books is that, number 1, if the books ain't good, it's got to be unique. Number 2, it's got to be inevitable to doing point number 3, which is transform the reader. And like what in this book, we use the universal symbol of freedom, the butterfly, because there is no way you can look at caterpillar, predict chrysalis, or predict high-flying, beautiful butterfly. At least I don't think there is. I mean, you and I know what happens. But if you were for the first time ignorant and just looked at a caterpillar, could you predict butterfly?
Right. No.
And you can't look at an individual and understand what their soul development could be either. That's what I was saying with the 4 stages of development that I believe that goes to self-actualization, self-illumination, self-realization.
Yes. So for everybody watching, listening, what's the difference?
Difference between
Self-realization, self-actualization. Yeah.
Well, self-actualization comes from our friend Dr. Abe Maslow, who's a father of positive self-image psychology, taken from him by my buddy, Dr. Wayne Dyer. When Wayne was way older than me, but had sold 70 million books and was one of my coaches to sell so many books. Because what I did, in answer to your first question, adding to this question, and then I'll try to do the other 2 in a second, is that I interviewed the 101 best-selling nonfiction and fiction authors, and I didn't ask how to write a book, because I think I knew since I was 16, maybe, because I was pretty good in English. And I had the best teacher. I can talk to that if you want, but how do you market? And they told me, and all I did is, the reason I sell more books than anybody alive, according to Guinness Book of Records, and keep doing that, is that I've compounded the ideas, and then my own ideas compounded, and I've created bypass marketing. So self-actualization means that you're taking the action. You're taking the self-determined action to realize who you are. Self-realization means that no one ever asked me some of these questions. I look forward to getting a link to this. Self-realization means that you're doing the deep inner work, probably with your eyes closed, probably listening to 432 beat hertz music on YouTube, healing, transforming your soul, and making sure you're at the highest vibration that you can get to. Self-illumination comes when you talk to God and God talks to you. And I own a publishing house. We're doing new books by Bob Bodine, the world's greatest sports recruiter. Sports has gone crazy because of him, and he's invisible to most people, but he wrote 2 books, but the one that I'll talk about now, I just finished, called 2 Chairs, where he says every morning you ought to sit in a chair for a self-illumination and talk to an empty chair with God in it and say, God, this is what my question is. And is there any too big, and he asks 3 things, but basically, is there any too big a question for God to answer? Is there any too big a challenge that God can't answer? And then, so that's self-illumination. And my wife and I, even this morning, meditated and cogitated and ruminated for an hour together. We start with prayer and biblical study, and then we both get illuminated answers. And I got to tell you, while the economy is going crazy and politics is is absolutely taking a sick pill as far as I'm concerned, and you don't have to agree with anything I just said. And anyone out there can argue it if they want to have the other position, but I will gladly debate them on your show or anybody else's show. But we come up with these self-illuminating ideas, and then we put them into stuff. And like in our, I know I'm got to go one more step, but we did a book called Ask. And like I said, it's got to be unique. And what's unique about this book is it starts with a fable of Michaela, totally written by my wife. We wrote the whole book together, but the fable of Michaela is a story set in 1544, and Hollywood read it, came to us, said we wanted to do it. And then Friday night, just 3 nights ago, whatever that is, we met with the guy that we're going to produce. He's got the money and all that stuff. So, and it's curious, they wanted to do it in a place. My wife and I had been in Malta. Have you been to Malta yet?
I have not been to Malta.
Okay, so Malta is where we ended World War II, and you see the pictures of the three guys. You see Stalin with Eisenhower FDR and Stalin and whoever, somebody else, Winston Churchill, and that's where they ended the war because it was a neutral zone and nobody knew about it. But it's a big island like Long Island in New York, but it is amazing. And we went there, and all the castles, just giant, 120 miles by 80 miles. And we said, this is where we'd like to film. And that's where we're going to be filming this pretty soon. So, and my wife wrote the whole screenplay. So did I over answer your question too much? But that's how illumination is.
I no, not at all. It just leads me to more questions.
Good.
And comments. I have a friend who does business in Malta, and he gets so frustrated because he's like, they never work over there. It's always a siesta. If you get anything done at all. And so I thought that was kind of cute. That's the only connection that I have. But so I'm thinking, with all of these books, what sticks out in your mind from your own books that, like, you hold dear to your heart? A lesson that you can share, or something?
Every one of them's got something different. I wrote The Miracle of Tithing, which is sold at so many churches, thousands at a time, because I'm the third party, and that's totally written by me. I am mostly, in all the stuff I do, is a seminal, the beginning writer, and write it, and then somebody else edits it, because I'm pretty prolific, as you alluded to earlier. The allegation is that he is prolific. Anyhow, as sound like a lawyer. Each one's different. Like the tithing says, look, you got to tithe 4 ways. You got to tithe your thinking, which everybody misses. The churches miss it. Everybody misses it. The charities miss it. And then I'm on a board of a lot of charities, like right now, Child Help, which has helped 12.5 million kids get out of neglect, abuse, and trafficking. But then you tithe your thinking, your time, your talent, your treasures, and then you're thankful that you've had time to do all that. And like when Red Cross was out of blood, Liddy Dole came to me, and now we're doing it again. And she said, I can't get the doctors like you asked me to come up with a new idea. So I said, well, one of the 4 marketplaces I do is I do the chiropractors, and they love me, and there's 77,000 seeing 25 million patients a month getting adjusted. And we'll call them up 800 Give Life. They had the little blood mobile come out. We could raise enough blood to solve the blood problem and cryogenically freeze blood for 1.5 years in advance. And now I'm saying, hey, look, let's do the same thing, but let's this time get everybody on their driver's license to give their 9 pints of blood when they're sure they're dead, right? If you're really, really dead, you don't need your blood anymore. And right now they're pissing it away. Sorry, that was not nice. They're pouring it down the sewer. Right. By the way, if you're going to be dumbass squared, that's dumbass squared as far as I'm concerned, right? Because somebody else needs your blood, because every pint of blood will save 3 lives. So I go, if my driver's license, I give away all my body parts that I don't need, right? It's just amazing. The guy I talked about a second ago, Bob Bodine, his 13-month-old grandson died, and it was a brokenhearted, and all the family was on the hospital floor in Dallas, and the little grandkid, somebody down the way needed the kid's liver. Another lady got the 2 kidneys. They got his eyes. And he said, holy cow, that kid gave his life for all these other people. The point is, this is the stuff that opens your heart, and it can only be opened if you're illuminated. And because you asked, when my wife and I meditated this morning in Ephesians 1, chapter 1, what it says is to somebody you can only see spirit if you're spiritual. Now I'm spiritual, so I can see spirit. And it said, the next line that the Apostle Paul said is that to somebody that's not spiritual, they go, Mark's nuts, right? And Mark's okay with people calling me crazy.
Yeah.
Some people are saying Elon Musk is crazy. And I think he's the wisest man on the planet.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the question that I'm just going to go there because you brought it up. Probably political, but I want to know how you feel.
Go.
Okay, so speaking of the driver's license and knowing that, we can give blood and making sure that we're gone before we do it. If we're going to do that on our driver's license, should it have some sort of indication whether or not you're vaccinated?
Oh boy, do I agree with that. Yes. And let me go big. Yes. One of the books we're doing is, and because you're single, one of the things, the smartest guy at West Point ever is our partner in a business. He'll go on name because somebody will say, no, he's not the smartest. So I'll leave his name out, but he just wrote us a thing. He's my age contemporary, not yours, but he said, if you're a single woman and marrying a man, you want to make sure that he is not vaccinated, because if he's vaccinated, all the research now shows unequivocally, not even maybe, I don't know how far you want me to go medically, but his sperm count's going to be bad. If the woman's vaccinated, her uterus is in trouble and her eggs are in trouble. So, and we have a doctor we're doing a book with, which I can't talk about because I'm under an NDA until it's published, but she has got the way to solve the problem to the vaccinated. And it's really important. So yes, I am critically, it is critical for the first time in history that people know, because I'll even do it with one of we got 5 kids and 6 grandkids. And one of my daughters said, this is like 2 years ago, no, you can't see the grandkids unless you're vaccinated. I said, you got to be nuts. Mm-hmm. This is the biggest guinea pig experiment in human history. Right. And you damn right, I am not for it. So, and I haven't gotten to see the grandkid for a while. So, and by the way, that's to the loss of the grandkid and my daughter and my son-in-law, not mine. I mean, I'm having the time of my life, but the people that are vaccinated, let me just do my guy from West Point, who's a leader, right? This is one of the superstar leaders. 30 of his friends have died in the last month because the vaccine works against the mature. It works against certain people of certain colors because whoever set this up did it that way. It's a bioweapon. And I got an idea that the way I see you nodding your head, you're an informed person. Now, somebody out there listening to the unspiritual, they're going, no, this guy believes that there's spiritual and then there's evil people. There are evil people out there. This isn't like this isn't maybe, this is like a hard truth. But remember, if you're unspiritual or ungodly, and there are a lot of people that are, and a lot of our universities teach atheism. And I'm going to go one step further. There's 2 guys you got to listen to these days, not me. I hope you listen to my YouTubes, but one is John Lennox, who's 80. He's older than I am, 80 something, at Oxford and Cambridge. He teaches both because he's so smart. And he said, hey, look, he argues against the atheists. And the other guy is Dr. Jordan Peterson, who more people know and who I'll be with here again in a couple of days. But is Lennox says it so well. John Lennox, who you got to watch his stuff, but he says, when I'm arguing against the atheists, they say nothing times nothing. In math, nothing times nothing equals nothing. He said, and they're arguing that you can take nothing and teach gravity and nothing and create stars and nothing and create a Rolex watch, or this happens to be better than a Rolex watch. This is a Ulysses Narn. But the point is, this did not fall. This is a $38,000 watch. This did not fall out of heaven together. It can't do it. You got to have something to make something. And the something to make something is the causeless cause, which is God, the creator, that flung stars into skies. And that was a bigger answer than you expected, I suspect, but I think you agree.
I'm with you. And so I'm going to connect all that.
Yeah.
Because now that we're talking about, that quack scene, and we're talking about spirituality, right? And we're talking about vibration. And now, this person you're saying has the antidote, right? But you're under an NDA. So we don't have that. And, there's probably a lot of people out there who are freaking out going, well, we need it now. It's not cool. And what do you think about putting all your faith and trust in God and elevating your vibration?
Oh, to be the vibration of the antidote itself?
No.
Absolutely.
When we elevate our vibration to love, right? The highest vibration, it literally means we are supernaturally protected. So whatever the enemy has, prepared for us, we can elevate above it. What do you think about that?
100%. But remember, you got to really work at it, and it's not instant. Now, wait a second. Now, if you watch The Chosen, which I'm sure you have, and a lot of people watch, you have seen The Chosen, the
I
TV
haven't
show.
seen The Chosen.
You haven't?
Nope.
Okay, well, The Chosen is a real story of Christ done by a guy named Dallas Jenkins, it's on YouTube, so you can watch it, and it's genius. And what happens is obviously Christ could heal because the 40 days in the wilderness, which he did a lot of times, and the fact is he came in as a God man, is that he could heal instantly. But there are people today that can do that. I go to a healing church here, which I can talk about. We're doing her book called Healed. She's 88 and she's a chairman of Child Help. She and her partner, Sarah O'Mara and Yvonne Feddersen, her husband's a predeceased them, but they got kids and grandkids and great grandkids. Anyhow, Sarah heals people on the spot. And I've just finished a book called on Reverend Ike, the big black minister. When I was bankrupt and upside down 50 years ago, I went to see Norman Vincent Peale in the morning. In the afternoon, the two guys I was with said, let's go to Harlem. And I go, I don't think we're supposed to go to Harlem. But I go see this guy, and I'm bankrupt. I'm $2 million down 6 months before and ready to kill myself. And because I thought money and self-esteem were the same. They're not. We can talk to that if you want. But I hear Reverend Ike saying, look, the Lord, when he was a poor black kid down and he said, I'm not really black, I'm green. But he said, because we live in a green culture, he said, when I was born in South Carolina, where were all the bleeding heart liberals when my belly button stuck to my ribs and I couldn't afford 7 cents to feed myself? And my mother, dad left, of course, had no money. And we just did his book on Reverend Ike, An Extraordinary Man, Extraordinary Time. But he could heal somebody instantly of like tuberculosis or protruding hemorrhoids. And so the biggest chapter in the book, it'll come out this fall with Post Hill Press, same as Who Did Ask, because they bought it from us a long time ago. And their publishers are slow getting stuff done, but other publishers other than me, I'm fast getting it done because I believe in everything. So, but he could do instant healing because he could see the divine in them is never sick. The divine in the people you're having listened to us is never sick. But to escalate, to illuminate yourself to that state of consciousness and a high vibration, so you shunt off simple things like pimples or a cold. I mean, every one of us has cut themselves, scratched themselves, and healed, and it's stronger where it healed than when it was cut, right? That piece of skin. Well, the same thing here. Once you've healed, you're healed, and all of us have had healing. So the question is, are you willing to heal at higher and higher levels? And then the other, let me do a subset of that. And the subset is, in my opinion, is it you tell yourself every morning, not only am I healthy, whole, and complete, but that I am healed and healing, because the gerund is a necessary part of the vibration. And that's why I said you ought to listen to music at 432 beats, because it is a healing music, because I haven't got time to be in pain. Everyone's going to have pain and suffering. That's a give me in the Bible and everywhere else. But the point is you transcend it. You eclipse it. You out illuminated, or I guess, I don't know a better way to say it right this second, because it's the first time I've heard that.
You're adding the light to it, to that darkness.
Yeah. And perfect light dispels darkness. Right. And even Elon Musk said when he was afraid of the dark, when he was 6 years old, he said, all you need is more photons. So he said, I got rid of the fear.
That's great. That is great. No, I'm a firm believer in actually in behavior modification, because if you can get control over your mind and your behavior, your vibration elevates to that sense of, you can handle anything. You can literally handle any situation if you know how to act in love according to our Creator.
That's correct. That's exactly what David in the lion's den did. He had his phonemes such that when, I think it was Nebuchadnezzar, the most powerful king of that time, gets bad information, puts him in the slammer with the lions, and the lions didn't eat him. And when Nebuchadnezzar came the next morning, he saw not only him, but he saw Christ next to him, guarding him. But he didn't let out any phonemes that smell bad, because lions, if you watch out of Africa or anything, will only eat you if you smell bad. And I've been to Africa 4 times. But the point is, if you don't smell bad and you're not scared, you don't get eaten. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. And what constitutes smelling bad? to a lion?
No. Okay, the perfect question. My understanding, because I'm not a phoneme expert, except to say, or phoneme, whatever the right word is. Your smell when you're fearful. You smell. I can do it for me. Men armpits smell bad, and they smell bad, and your smell is like. I'm an underwater diver, like with James Cameron and Weiland, and all of us dive. But is it a shark can smell you underwater 2 miles away? Did you know that?
I did not know that. In your pheromones, you have to think, well, I showered this morning, but my fear is leaking out of my pores right now. There's a lion. Hello. You can't help but be afraid. You know that you're vulnerable. You don't stand.
Edit your own sentence. You can't help but be aware. If I decide not to be afraid like Daniel did, I won't emanate out a fearful smell. Now, do I want to go get confronted? By the way, I did get confronted with a lion when we were on a road trip, and we left the park and we were out running, and man, the guy came running after us with a gun and said, no, you're not allowed to run 7 miles out here because a lion will get you. And I thought, whoops, we made a mistake. They didn't tell us anything, right?
Uh-huh. God, that would be a tough lesson.
Yeah, no, I don't want to confront a lion and have to see if I can fast move my consciousness. But everyone's had to fast move their consciousness. And by the way, if you do fast move your consciousness, let me just give my wife's example. She was in the car driving across a road, and there's a truck coming at 80 miles an hour to, and he's screeching on the brakes because she's in deep spirit. The truck, her car moved out of the way, and the guy got out and said, I don't know how you moved it because I should have killed you. And the point is that she is made herself a sacred vessel. She's important to not only me, but to our grandkids, and I think to the world, because she's writing stuff, thinking stuff, and saying stuff. If you go to Crystal Dwyer Hanson on YouTube, she's the wisest woman I know. I call her the goddess of exquisiteness, right? Because pulchritudinous emanates out every pore of her being. But I would not like to test her, or we are going to Africa again shortly, but I don't think I want to test the lion test on us.
All right, get her on the show. What are you doing?
No, you get her on the show. Just write us a letter and give us 2 times so she can be on, and you can have her on the show. No problem.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to hear the feedback, and back to my earlier question about your books, like if there is anything memorable that, I know they're all good. That goes without saying, but it's for the author, if there was something that was really true to your heart, you're just like, and I really love that part.
Let me do it at a higher level, because the book industry is crushed right now because of the pandemic, right? We've gone from 19,000 bookstores to 400, which is heartbreaking. These guys.
What does that mean? It's crushed.
Crushed. They went out of business. The little independent bookstores are bye-bye.
Ah, okay.
And so you've got Amazon to buy from now, and they're trying to put Barnes and Noble out of business if you look at it objectively, like I am, and maybe subjectively. In any case, so 14 months ago, we created the Mark Victor Hansen Library.com, which is publishing 3.0, because publishing 1.0 is my hero. I got to be careful with this. Alexander the Great, because at 28 years old, he put all the wisdom of the world together in Alexandria, Egypt. Okay. Library 2.0 is my hero, Andrew Carnegie, who is not a robber baron. Where do you live?
In Southern California.
Where? Oh, okay. Oh, good. Yeah, I used to live there. So in Corona Del Mar, Newport Beach. Anyhow, but if you go to his house in New York at 95th and 5th Avenue, it's owned by the Smithsonian, costs $5 to get in. First line is authors of the wealth of the nation. Now, I changed that to authors of the wealth of the world. But the second line, which all the people call him a robber baron, don't get it. He said, no man or woman can get wealthy without enriching all others, right? The point is that he's Library 2.0 because he gave us 2,858 libraries for free.
I love it.
He gave them. That's not a robber baron. A robber baron takes and doesn't give. He gave more than he took, right? And that's the way that life has to work. You got to put universe in debt. So we created Library 3.0, and our brand is we take your impact story and bring it to life. And somewhere we're over 100 books now. But last year we did 18 number one books with other people that are doing books that no one would ever think of doing or wouldn't have done. And I'll just give an example. Can I give an example?
Yeah, please.
My wife and I are down talking at the Collective, where to get in, 700 people had to be over $10 million net worth somewhere. But this little kid comes up to us at 7:00. He was with his parents, of course, and he's shaking like a leaf. And I'm going, what are you shaking about? I could see how smart he was.
Yeah.
He says, you intimidate me. I said, as smart as you are, I couldn't intimidate anybody, but especially you. I said, how do I intimidate you? He says, you're world's best-selling author according to Guinness Book of Records. I said, that's true, but I don't intimidate people. So what's your story, kid? He said, well, I'm 14. I'm worth $843,000. I passed a real estate test out in Ohio at 8 years old. I shoveled snow, got an owner carry back my first house. I own 60 houses. I'm an Eagle Scout. And he says, I'm just finishing my black belt in a martial art called Aikido. I said, kid, we got to do your book. He's been #1 with the garage for the last 12 weeks in a row. Our little buddy, Devin Woolwind. Isn't he cute?
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, every kid's buying it because did you know when you were 8 years old, you could go babysit and make enough money to buy your first house?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, by the way, my parents were illiterate immigrants, so I'm not beating on them, but they would have let me buy a house because I was out shoveling snow and delivering papers and working since I had to buy my own clothes since I was 9. So that's the non-issue. So the point is that we're in an exciting time where there's infinite possibilities if you are waking up to the infinite. And back to your spiritual question, Genesis 1:26-28, if you're made in the image of the likeness of the infinite, then guess what? You're infinite. But if you keep operating as finite, I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, I'm a plumber, I'm an electrician, that's your job. That's not who you could become. Back to illumination, realization, right?
That's right. We're not a creator.
No, the job of Genesis 1:26, if you're made there, you're here to create, contribute, and be charitable.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's so fun doing that.
Yeah. By the way, there's nothing better. And that's what gives meaning to life. If you read Viktor Frankl's book, there's man's search for meaning has got to be threefold. It's got to be for a person. It's got to be an assignment, or it's got to be something that nobody else can do.
Yes.
And there's a lot of stuff that nobody else can do that needs to get done right now.
Okay. So give us an example of what nobody else can do.
Okay. So I'm on the board and an advisor to a company called QCI LLC. Dean Rose spent $300 million deciding how to take all trash. The book title is going to be How to Turn Your Trash into Cash. And every one of us creates 5 pounds of garbage every day, no matter what, whether you want to or not, overall. Okay. But right now, our garbage dumps, 10,000 of them are full in America. Now, I opened the pyramids in Guatemala with Dr. Bill Saturno from Harvard, and we wrote about it in National Geographic. Anyhow, and Bill and I'd argue every morning, what killed all those 10 million people? And I didn't have the answer then. I do have the answer now. Their own pollution killed them. If you throw feces and pollution and germs and bacteria and parasites into water, and then they drink it downstream, it kills them, but they come upstream, right? The people move because they're 6-lane roads. In America, we got the same problem. The guy in Horatio Alger, Wayne Huizing is the guy who created all the garbage dumps in America, right? He did a good job 50 years ago, but it's a bad job over a 50-year thing because he did as thin as your thumbnail. That's a 20 mil, basically. 20 mil poly with plastic. Mm-hmm. Seems like a heck of an idea, and maybe it was 50 years ago, but today we have acids, we have stuff that just eats straight through it, and it goes into water supply. The water supply is a water supply, and there's only one water supply. There's no new water supply. It rains, there's cycles and all that. We got to keep our water clean. We got to recycle the garbage. So what Dean Rose has done, spent $300 million doing, turning glass to glass, water to water. 60% of garbage is water, plastic to plastic, metals to metal. Now, what does that do? That makes America rich again, because for 50 years, we've exploited everything out of the ground, and now we're trying to buy it from foreign countries. We have enough now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the point is, we not only do we have enough, we have more than enough, but we got to do the right thing by it. But politicians are saying, no, we're not going to do that. And they've been stifling him. So he's doing it in foreign countries, $6 billion a year worth. We need to be doing it in America. So I'm glad to give voice to that. And we're finishing his book. So
I think that's awesome. So, okay, speaking of that then, what about plastics? I'm so tired of plastic. Do we really have to recycle plastic into plastic? Or can we start using hemp or something?
Well, there you go. You got to take the problem and find a solution. I don't have the I hear what you're saying, but I think the plastic at every level has got to be recycled, because you take a country like Bangladesh, right? Considered the poorest country in the world right now. Henry Kissinger says a hellhole of the world. They throw their garbage in the water. It goes in the ocean. There's only one ocean. There's not 7 oceans. My teacher, Bucky Fuller, had a lot of degrees, one of which is in cartography, map making. There's not 7 oceans. When you look at his Dymaxion map, you see it's one world ocean surrounding one world island, right? A little pretty esoteric at some levels, but if you look at a Dymaxion map, you can look at it on Google Maps. Type in Dymaxion map. Anyhow, the point is, you pollute anywhere, you pollute everywhere. So we got to unpollute. That's one level. Then yours is, we got to have a new carrier system. And you're saying it may be hemp, and hemp you can grow and eat and smoke and do all kinds of cool stuff with it. I'm not keen on smoking
it. Grows, and it's biodegradable. It's great.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Finding solutions. Okay, you said something else, and now I kind of forgot on that, because you made a good point about the because you said one island surrounded by one water. So do you believe in flat Earth?
No. It's what you look at it from a point of view, and what happens is, what happened is Bucky did. You take our round globe, which is actually like a pear, when we went in space, but he did it what's called an icosahedron, 20 triangles around it. And when you open it up, it has no distortion, and it looks like one island landmass enveloped by one world ocean. It is not that. I don't believe in a flat Earth. No, I know there are a lot of people that do, but we are not. Look, I flew in the Concorde, and I was at 60,000 feet, and you could see the curvature of the Earth. When my friend Brian Tracy bicycled nutso through the Sahara, and one garbage can to the next is exactly 1 mile, and you can just see it when you come over, and it gets bigger and bigger as you go toward it, because the Earth's curved. It's not flat.
So I know this is totally off topic and being authors and books and things, but why is it then that we can see the sun and the moon at the same time? Why are they out at the same time?
By the way, no, it's not that topic, because a teacher will teach you night only has moon. And I saw the moon out this morning when I took our little doggy for a walk.
Right.
The principle is that one is 90 million miles away, the sun, and the other is only 250,000 miles away, the moon. So, of course, it's an illusion, both of them. Of the distance looks the same, because the moon at different times of the year is so close to the Earth it looks big. And back in the old days, my heroes like Aristotle and all that, who were figuring this out, thought he had the biggest ladder ever and was going to touch the moon. Well, you and I know there ain't no ladder that's going to go 250 miles. It takes an astronaut to pull that off.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so we were talking about time, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about those photons and time. Do you believe in time and space?
Okay, so there's 3 levels of that. There's the sidereal, the physical reality you and I live in. That's a time, and we just had a time change, right? Yeah. And that's a whole nutso thing. But then you do it the other way. In China, they have one time across 11 time zones, and that's even worse. So, that doesn't work. It's dysfunctional to the max, because at 9 o'clock, people are waking up at 9 p.m. Anyhow, so that doesn't work. So the sidereal time, then the next level of time is you've got universe time, and Einstein says there is no time or space in universe. It's always eternal now, which is how the Maasai's live in Africa. But then you go to spiritual time. God doesn't have any time either. That's like the Bible clearly says 1 second is like a million years, right? Yeah. And then the joke is, and I'll give you 1 second, give me $1 million. Well, it doesn't work.
Right. Right.
But it does at one level. It works at the level that you make the decision now to make a future provision, because we're living in a physical reality. We're spiritual beings living in a physical reality. Now, if you're physical beings trying to live in physical reality, then it doesn't work quite as well, Mary Lee.
Okay, Mark. So then what do you think? How do we relate time, the spiritual world, to our time, 3D, and then manifestation? How do you bring that into reality?
Okay, so I've done a bunch of, it's called the law of attraction, and probably the smartest guy on it is a guy named Neville, who wrote a book called Resurrection, and he's doing it from a spiritual point of view. And he says, what you got to do is live in the assumption of the wish fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm bankrupt and upside down, and I am sleeping in front of another guy's room for 6 months, and I'm asking God, am I supposed to kill myself, or what am I supposed to do? God didn't answer the way I thought he would. He said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be a professional speaker that talks to people that care about things that matter, that make a life transformative difference. Well, I go running down to my roommates, and 3 guys in Hicksville, Long Island, New York, were living at $100 a month. So you can see we're not styling and profiling. But I say, you guys know anyone that's not a Broadway star, not a celebrity, not a doctor, lawyer, or somebody, and young? And the guy said, look, here's a ticket to go see this guy who's 10 years older than you, probably. Go use my ticket and go see Chip Collins. I take my little beat up old Volkswagen, race out to Waukegan, Long Island, New York. For 3 hours, this guy is winding people up and making them laugh and think. And the real estate has got 28% interest. Nobody's buying in 1973 and 4. Afterwards, I go up to him and I said, Chip, I want to take you to lunch. He said, what do you want, boy? His voice was burned out because there was no electronic mics yet. He said, what do you want? I said, I want to do what you do. He said, 1 in 1,000. You ain't going to make it. So go do something else and leave me alone. I said, no, I'll buy you lunch. I can afford that, and tell me how to do it. And long story short, he tells me to do insurance. I did 4 talks a day for 3 years. Came out with my first book back then, which I think I even have here. Just I thought you'd ask this. Anyhow, I sold 200. I self-published for $1, sold it for 10. Sold 20,000 copies at $10 each. Made 200,000 my first year in 1974. That's like 2 million now. I mean, I'd arrived again, and I was happy, and doing 4 talks a day, getting up at 6 for the first talk, 8 or 10, then in the afternoon, and then 1 at night. It was mind-blowingly good. So the point is, though, is I visualized to realize what I wanted to materialize, and I lived in the assumption that I'd be a great and inspiring speaker, and then I wrote down and didn't tell anyone because you got to keep it secret. Go inside the secret place of the Most High and have it revealed. But I said I'd be world's best-selling author, and now I are him.
I think that is just awesome. So, okay, you're talking a bit fast there, but did I catch that you were talking to people from the insurance business?
Yeah, life insurance. And I didn't own any at the time. I didn't know what a premium was. I didn't know what a CLU, which means Chartered Life Underwriter. But the joke was cunning, lonely, and unhappy, right?
But I mean, what were you doing? Motivational speaker?
Yeah, motivational sales. And then not only did I start doing those talks, I knew how to sell, present, prospect, and do good work habits and close. But I met all the best men and ladies selling insurance, and I'd quote them and say, whatever they said, I said, this is what you got to do. And the only mistake I made is I took a salary, like I started at $25 for 4 talks, that'd be $100. Then we got to 50, then to 100, 250,000. And now I get outrageous fees like 35,000 domestic and 75,000 international. But the fact of the matter is that if I'd taken a percentage of, like when I'm on State Farm, rather than taking, a nice fee of like back then it was $7,000 for a talk, and I'd sell all my product and teach them how to sell $1 million policy because they think they sell auto insurance. And I got them to sell life insurance, which is more profitable to the great State Farm. If I'd taken 10% of 100 million, I would have had 10 million a year.
So I think that people who are aspiring to be authors and speakers are not thinking about the insurance companies, So does it matter?
It's a great business, and the people are really nice that succeed in it.
So for somebody who is aspiring to be a motivational speaker, right, get up in front of people, does it matter where you speak?
The joke is only if you want to get paid.
Okay.
So I did 4 markets. I did the church market, which everyone says, how do you make money? Well, I did the church services because ministers got to be gone or want a time off or not have to think. And then I do a seminar in the afternoon, charged $20, and we split 50-50 with the church, and then we sold product, and I tied back in the product. And so if a church would have 1,000 people in it in the morning, at each service, I'd have at least half of those people come in the afternoon and pay because they like great speakers. Like in a couple of days, 2 days, we're going to see 2 guys I love. Dennis Prager and Charlie Kirk are here at the Dream Center with 40,000 people. So, the market I used to do has gotten bigger. I did the Dream Center in the old days. I just haven't done it recently.
Is it ever intimidating?
Always intimidating. It's intimidating if you aren't prepared, or it's intimidating if there's going to be really important people on, because you get on with some people, like I've been on with presidents and all that, and you go, I'm going to be in a green room with them for a while. Am I going to have something to say? And so far, I've never run out of stuff to say. I know you have a tough time believing that.
Well, okay. So my question to that is, how do you speak to the crowd then? Do you always come in like with the content of your book, or do you just come in and, work the crowd depending on who they are?
Whoever, like let's take the life insurance. They tell you exactly what they want, their theme is, and what they want as a result, right? The outcome of the speech. And then I melt the stories to do it. And I certainly have no shortage of stories, which is why, most of the younger speakers that I get to see and coach, I say, look, you guys aren't doing your homework. You got to be reading a minimum of a book a week and a minimum of a biography or autobiography a month. And, because your input and throughput determines your output. So you got to make sure 75% about whatever that is more than the audience. Mm-hmm. Pretty easy to do today to younger audiences, but the young audience that thinks they can come in and wing it, they can't. They got to have really solid stuff. And there's a couple of people like Charlie Kirk who have phenomenal depth and breadth and height, and he's getting a lot of criticism and people are after him for a lot of stuff. But when you listen to him, because they're trying to shut down free speech. Mm-hmm. And he is a great proponent of the First Amendment, as am I, and the Constitution, as am I. And we need more people that can really think and defend that. Just like I said,
yeah,
Dr. John Lennox defends why you got to understand that God created everything. Nothing creates nothing. You got to have something to create something.
Yeah, right. To be inspired, that inspiration, the breath.
Yeah, that's why I said, and that's the first thing God gave us. Inspire means to breathe in, right? And you got to breathe in high, lofty, inspired thinking if you want to do high, lofty. Now, if you read the newspaper every day, or if all your information comes off your cell phone, even if you're doing the alternative channels, you're not getting enough. You also need to dialogue. And over the weekend, because so many crazy things were happening in our economy, I was dialoguing with some really serious people that could really think stuff through, and they needed help. And luckily, you take yourself to an ascended ground and say, let's look down at this and say, what would be the highest perspective you could take and what is really happening? And then who is benefiting? Because it's that old thing you saw in the movie, All the President's Men, follow the money, right? Who's going to make money by a bank that's got 100 people that are going to make $100 billion? Well, the people that crush it, that come in and buy it from Wall Street, are trying to buy on it cheap. So of course that's what's happening. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty esoteric. And most people out there are going to go, well, what does that affect? It affects you because they're trying to goof up the whole banking system and they're trying to change us to digital currency. Fed digital currency you do not want. You don't want the government knowing every cent that you spend, no matter how.
Right. I honestly don't believe we'll make it to that. I really don't. And I had a question about your books, but I mean, as far as the government control and all this, I mean, it's a lot of scary stuff out there right now, but honestly, I feel that the pendulum is about to swing the other way and we're going to be all right. We're going to come out a winner.
That's right. And that's why you got to be ingratiated in spiritual awareness like you are, because that's what God says in the end, we win, right? So you want to be on the winning team. So I want to be on God's team because the devil can't outthink God because, that's just the way it is.
It's an illusion. It's just darkness. It goes away very easily. Okay. So what I was thinking was about the books. Do you think that people are still reading? Who's reading? Because we're on information overload. People want it quick. They're scrolling. It's just, and it's not enough information to do anything with.
Those three questions at once in one question, hidden in one question, or three. I got to cut that into three if you don't mind. First of all, people are reading more than they've ever read. The pandemic had the most books sold ever because people were locked into their houses and they're really well read. And those of us that are readers are reading more and we're reading faster, which is like a smart idea all the time. Everyone should have taken a speed reading course when they're younger, but it's never too late to take it. Second of all, as for information overload, that's true. So you got to make back to I just did a whole video on YouTube about this. Look, the smartest guy of all times and the richest guy of all times, worth $4 trillion, more than even Elon is Solomon, right? And Solomon, when God said, "What do you want, Solomon?" That's not a one-time question just to Solomon. That's a question to each and every one of us.
Sure.
And what do most of us say? Well, if I had a million or 10 million or 100 million or a billion, then Mary Lee, I'd be set. No, you wouldn't be sick because you still haven't got the consciousness of being that. And if you win a lotto, 98% of people that win the lottery blow it, right? This last weekend, the lotto was won for $2 billion. What did the first person do? They bought a $125 million home in Malibu. Now, it looks like you can't blow $2 billion, but you probably can, because most of those people, the previous lotto winners, blew it. So the fact of the matter is you got to have a money consciousness, which is why your show is called The Rich Code, is that you got to have the rich code inside to make sure it works outside. And so more books than ever. More books need to be written wisdom and discernment. So that's what he asked. That's what Solomon asked for. Each of us got to have wisdom, and you only get wisdom by having the right discernment to know what to read, to make sure you are not overloaded, and that you spend whether it's 15 minutes a day or an hour a day, and I prefer everyone to read to themselves an hour a day, and pick your people. Like if you're going to study somebody, if you like me, study me. If you like Lennox or Jordan or Rogan or whoever you find somebody.
Or me.
Or the old guy, Socrates, right? Whoever. Yeah. So you're asking good questions, and make sure you read Solomon's stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny how people will spend an hour easily scrolling. And you're getting a 3-second tidbit, or maybe a 5-minute if you're going to hang with a longer video.
Right.
What do you do with that information? Nothing.
Right.
Invest that same hour in a book.
Yeah, but make sure it's a book that's going to carry you to wherever you want to go. And here's what we're saying and ask that in answer to your question. Crystal and I said, look, 3 questions. You got to ask yourself, others, and God. But it says the bridge from your dreams, your destiny. We're saying when you buy this, like everybody else, don't buy 1, buy 2, and go over it with your mastermind partner, your business partner, your sweetheart, your spouse equivalent, church mate, temple, synagogue, ashram, max. But go through the 178 questions in here, and you will find out what your destiny code was. Because in Jeremiah, it says, before you were born, I knew you, meaning God made you. Spirit is, was, and always will be. So you've got a destiny, and a lot of people will listen and go, well, I don't believe that, Mark. Here, let me answer that. On YouTube, you can watch 20,000 people that died, near-death experiences, went to the other side and came back. Every one of them says the same thing, Mary Lee. They all say, I loved it. It was bigger, it was better, it was brighter, it felt warm, it was comfortable, it was loving. Every one of them was the same thing. You're not done. Right. You get to finish your mission. You get to go back. And they all come back and they have the same story. I mean, the story is uniform. No matter who you listen to, assuming they're honest and not just translated or something, every one of this is exactly the same. Here's what I was supposed to do, and I didn't do it. I came in with a destiny code, and you say, well, how good is that? Well, Lennox, as a hard scientist, says your DNA is coded at 3.5 billion. So, you got a name that goes way. Mary Lee's got a lot of letters in it, but you got a code beyond 8 letters. That's the point. You get 3.5 billion, and you're supposed to do something with it. Each of us, not just you and I.
And that's the thing, if we're out there striving in the world, right, trying to be something in the world, you're not on the right track. You need to find that code that is only for each one of us. Like, that's mine. That's my gift.
Yep.
And I'm striving for my gift. And then there's no competition because it's mine.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This has been a lovely conversation, Mark.
Good. Well, we're going to see what kind of feedback you get. For some people, it's going to go, I never heard of this guy before. And he did chicken soup books? How the heck did he do that?
Well, you know what? Some people aren't readers. And the way to start being a reader is literally get your book and read 1 line. Just pick up the book and read 1 line a day. Put it in the bathroom or something. And you read 1 line, it'll become 2, it'll become a page.
That's exactly what I told Jack why we did chicken soup 3 pages or less. I said, the two places we're going to get to go, because there are only 3 pages or less, is either in the bathroom or in the bedroom before they fall asleep and the book fits their face. But once they start reading it, like Teenage Soul, which teenagers weren't reading, and so we probably should reissue that. But is it amazing? The 19 million bought it the first year, and our publisher said, "This time you guys have blown it. I got teenagers to buy CDs, concert tickets, and clothes. You guys have blown it. You're wasting my time and my money publishing this book." And then we sold 19 million. And he said, "Whoops." So every time he said it wouldn't work, like I did, just in case you didn't know it, I did. The publisher wouldn't let me do Chicken Soup for the Soul Bible. So I said, well, write a note here, give me freedom. So I took it to Thomas Nelson. We did Chicken Soup for the Soul Bible in God's highest color, purple, and little stories get you into big stories. We sold 70,000 a week at Walmart. So in answer to your question, and I'm the godfather of that book. I mean, I championed it. I've been going to 2 churches a Sunday for my whole life. So I figure I can't get enough. So the deal is that what do you want out of your life? And what I'm supposed to be is an author, speaker, writer, business promoter for stuff like I told you, taking trash to cash and turning all the garbage junk back into a resource, which is like something nobody else did except for Dean. And Dean and I are like that. I mean, and once you find your destiny code, you'll automatically, in physics, there's a thing called surface water attraction. Like if you have drops of water on a counter, in 3 drops of water, all after a half hour, it all goes like that. Did you know that? It magnetizes. So I think, and there's no way I can prove the next thing I'm going to say, I don't think, except that it's my experience, is that once you've got your destiny code, all the other people that resonate with your destiny code show up. In my case, all the people that read, and you say, well, my God, you sell so many books in India where pass along value is 15. And then let me give a better example. So can I do one more example?
Absolutely.
So I'd been to Taiwan 12 times and China 80 times when it was capitalistically communistic, mainland China. Taiwan is that, and we got to keep Taiwan, of course. So they have an earthquake in Taiwan, and the prime minister calls me up and said, you got to come over here and settle my people. 100,000 people died in a half minute in the earthquake. I go, I hate earthquakes. I lived in California and through, a couple. I don't like them. When the Northridge happened, my whole house felt like the Titanic hit it at 4:31 in the morning. You just don't forget that. It scares the animals. We had 88 animals, and they all went nuts. My daughter was becoming a vet. Anyhow, so I don't want to come. The prime minister said, well, I've been in all your seminars. I love you, and I need you to come and settle my people. I go, no, I don't want to. You don't want to. I'm a motivational speaker. I inspire people to be all they can be, hopefully, at my best. Anyhow, he calls my little 13-year-old daughter at the time, says, I know the tapes I listened to, your dad said, you got them wrapped around your finger. You got to send them. So she sends me. I get there 12:01. Now, I'd been spokesperson that year for the American Red Cross, like I told you. And we have 7 disasters a year. We've already had our 7 disasters this year. Snow killing Northern California, all that stuff. And the train wrecks. Anyhow, so I get there, and I'd studied all the disaster stuff because the Red Cross gave it to me. So I had the speech things down, but I hadn't had enough sleep, 17 hours. I'm going like this. And the prime minister's there with a Rolls Royce. They get me through without customs, and I got a passport, but they don't want me to use it. And all the media cameras are there ready. And they said, what do you got to say? And I stumbled through it the first time. I said, erase it. He says, erase it. Let him reset whatever he wants to say to calm down the people. So I said, the worse Mother Nature is, the better human nature is. And I said, here's all the people that are doing good stuff for you guys. Here's what the Taiwanese female Buddha does. Here's what the Mormons did. They crushed up all the clothes at Desiree, made them into blankets, gave you guys 100 million blankets yesterday for free so that people wouldn't freeze in tents. I said, look, it's tough. And I'm not here to say it's going to be easy to get out of this, but the Taiwanese have the greatest metal, M-E-T-T-L-E, spiritual stuff inside that exists. These guys, you and ladies and gentlemen, are overcomers. I'm full of grief with you for all your family, but we're going to get through this, and I'm here to help you. And the next day they did a fundraiser. We had like 10,000 people, and they cut off my tie. No, they took off my tie and sold it for like $100,000 because I wear flashy ties in those days. And it was amazing. And the people were really good. And I got to meet the female Buddha and do an hour interview with her about how she pulled this off, because she did more than the government. Because the government is intrinsically bureaucratic, intrinsically slow, intrinsically big and loggy, even in a little country like that. Was that interesting?
Yeah, it's very interesting. But you know what I got from it is it's intimidating. I think that, stories like that, people go, how did you do that? Like, how did you become all of this? Like, where did it begin? It had to start with a seed somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little kid, 9 years old, and finally get a book called The Little Engine That Could, and I think I can, and then I'll say I did. So that's it.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my parents, we didn't have books in the house because they're from Denmark, with no money. And my uncle Sven, 14 years older than my dad, created the Black Band so we could take all the Jews out of Germany into Denmark, and comes up to my dad, who was only 14 at the time, kisses his cheeks, gives him $100 bill and a passport, and said, Hitler's got $100,000 hit on you and everybody in the family because of me. You're out of here tomorrow. He's going to a country he's never been to, doesn't know about. First person he meets is a black guy who speaks Danish. And this is a God wink, a God incident, right? I believe there's no coincidence. There's God incidences if you're spiritually awake. And Dad prayed. He just didn't, he prayed in Danish, of course. So the language of Danish. And the black guy's talking to him. He'd never seen a black guy. And said, how do you know Danish? He said, you own my island. And he said, I don't own anything. I'm just a Danish wannabe baker. And he said, no, you own the island. And Dad had never taken a class in geography and didn't know that St. Croix was owned by the Danes.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cool?
It's very cool.
I mean, God set that up. Everyone has God incidences and God winks and God shots, and most people go, that isn't true. That just happened. It just happened right from my daddy. I'll tell you that, because the guy showed him how to get food, showed him how to start to learn English enough to handle it.
Life is so magical. It is literally so beautiful. The higher you are willing to elevate and expand your mind, believe in it, test it, align with it, amazing things happen. Like the water you're talking about. You're brought together it doesn't even matter how far away you are.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't create surface tension. I just noticed how it works and know physics. So
Yeah. I love it. Well, Mark, our hour is up. That was quick.
Yep.
And I appreciate every minute. I love it.
Thank you. Me too.
Yes, absolutely. So now ask, where should we go get ask?
Get 2 copies. You can get it at every one of the bookstores, whether it's Books A Millions or Hudson or wherever, or you go on Amazon and get it, and they'll deliver it yet today. And it's amazing. So get it and get 2, and then
okay.
If you go to the askbookclub.com, you get to do a seminar with Crystal and I, the askbookclub.com. We would love to have you listen to us about how to become what we call a master asker.
A master asker. Questions are it.
Well, only because you're so biblically based and understand this stuff. I'm the only guy do you know how many questions are in the Bible? This is a mind blower.
How many?
39,000.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus did the questions all the time. Like, just because you asked about healing earlier, He always asked, like, just do the guy at the Trembling Water, 38 years, the guy's been living off other people and been dependent rather than independent. And he asked 3 times, do you want to be healed? Because if you don't want to be healed, I haven't got time for you, is the big guy saying, right? Now, if you really will want to get off your crutches, quit trying to crawl to the troubled water and really get healed, I'll heal you. And if you watch I want everybody watching, because I'm amazed you haven't seen the movie The Chosen. Tonight, you start watching, you're going to binge watch this. It is that good, but it shows that experience in such a magnificent way. You go, I get it now. And you need to watch this, because Dallas Jenkins has done it. 500 million people have seen it. I can't believe you're not one of us.
Well, I guess today's the day.
You're part of the great unwashed, see?
To your point about asking the question, do you want to be saved, right?
Yep.
And having to ask that question. You might want to think like, well, why do you have to ask the question? Of course I want to be saved. No, I need you to tell me that you want to be saved, because I've given you free will.
Bingo. And very few people even know that term, free will. But free will, you get to do it right or do it wrong, and do it right in my case is everyone's got to understand the free enterprise system is the only one that works. When government provides, you lose. Bigger the government, the less the person. The less the government. Little government means big people that are self-reliant, independent, self-determining.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, what I believe very strongly is free will is one decision and one only. And that's either we're going to choose to love or we're going to choose not to love in everything we do.
Correct.
All right. High five. Well, the legendary Mark Victor Hansen, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. And it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes. And yeah, if what if somebody wants to get a hold of you?
Call me. They can go to reception@markvictorhansen.com. Reception@markvictorhansen.com, and they'll get to me. No sweat.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Mark.
Or
have a beautiful Monday. It was a pleasure.
You too.
Okay, thanks, dear. Let's see here. On sometimes this thing.
Okay, good. 3 things if you can
What's
hang.
that?
One is you're going to send me a link so I can share it too, right?
Absolutely.
Number 2 is if you want some of my friends that have extraordinary things to say, like Dean Rose and all the ones we've talked about, like Mitzi Perdue, I would gladly help you get them on the show. I assume that would be a benefit.
Let's have fun. I would love it. That would be an honor.
And obviously, you want Crystal. Miss Crystal is, you and she are best friends that just have never met, Mary Lee.
Okay.
I don't think you've met. Now, if I've misstated that, I'm sorry. I don't, we get these audiences. We don't know who's there, right? Usually the spotlight's on and you go, then they go, like, that's why I didn't finish. The guy in China saw me when I was with the prime minister, and then now we're doing something big with him. So, and it's 20 plus years later. And he said, I heard you when you tried to save my country and you're going to save it again. I go, holy God,
Wow.
I get a second shot at Taiwan. Anyhow, and then the third thing is, you've already got, how many books have you written?
Well, I just launched the game, and I've co-authored, I don't know, like 5 of them, whatever. But my personal book, the game, yeah, it's on Amazon, and I just launched. And basically, it's all about love, and I've simplified the complexity of love by making it a game, like chess.
Well, I'll tell you that my neighbor here, Robert Kiyosaki, made more with Rich Dad Poor Dad game by 10 times than he did with the book. And he sold 40 million books. So we're friends. We're not competitors. So good on you. And then if you ever want to do a book, we would love to help ghostwrite it, but we take your principles, stories, message, philosophy, and fictionalize it because it sells 10,000 to 1. Like you read The Alchemist?
Yep.
It sold 150 million.
That's my goal.
Yep. Well, now the movie's coming out, so it's going to sell 500 million, I predict. So,
I love it. Well, it's funny. In my email right now, I got an invitation from Stevenson. I forget his name at this moment, to be interviewed by Jack Canfield.
Oh, good. Well, by the way, Jack's he's third in his class, Harvard. He's a smart guy who has been my friend forever. But he only does multi-authored books, and I think you got to take your story and let us fictionalize it and bring it out at a much bigger level, would be my recommendation.
Well, I really appreciate that. I actually have a friend of mine who that story is incredible alone, but he's in the process of writing a trilogy right now. And that trilogy is the crescendo is literally about me and the game and the story of my life. And I've never met him. We met on a different social app, Wisdom. And I heard his voice and I'm like, who is this guy? I got to talk to this guy. And somehow or another, we just hit it off. And now he was inspired to write this epic story that started as a biography. And now it's become about the Trinity. And I'm really excited and honored to be part of it.
Well, first of all, do that. And when you're ready to write a book, just email me, and you and I and our executive editor will get together and we'll help you if you want to. Now we charge for it, but $29,900, so $30,000. But we do stuff that nobody else can do because of Jack and Mark, I'm the marketing guy. Jack's a genius and an inside guy, and Harvard superstar, you know,
Yeah.
and good for Jack. I love Jack.
Good for Jack. Yeah. Well, it would be an honor to be interviewed by Jack for sure.
No, do it.
But yeah, I don't really know the ins and outs of that, but I just thought I'd let you know.
I know. Well, he and I spent 20 years together. I'll do one cute story and then I got to go. But I'm talking to about 400 people down at Disney World down in Orlando. Is it World? Yeah. And this woman comes up that looks just like Jack, and she's got 2 babies and a husband. And she says, "Do you know Dr. Canfield?" I says, "Well, I guess my best friend right now. We've lived together the last 20 years trying to get all these books sold."
Uh-huh.
She said, "Well, do you know his family and where he's from?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what state he's from?" I said, "West Virginia." I said, "What's his dad's name?" Is Jack Sr.? I said, "Where's he from?" I said, "He's right down in, he runs NCR down in Brazil." She said, "He's my dad too. I'm Jack's half sister. Can you call him?" Now there's 400 people waiting for a signature. And I called Jack and I said, "Jack, I got another one of your half sisters here. Your dad was busy."
Oh no. Wow. You see, and that's the beauty of getting out there though, and just that's God.
By the way, I couldn't have predicted that would happen. That would not.
Exactly.
I would not. And she was a wonderful woman.
You know,
I just have never seen Jack in female form.
that's how you sit there and go, how does that happen?
Yeah.
God, that's how that happens.
That's
It's the water.
And they're great friends now, so it's interesting. But
That's a beautiful story.
good. Send me 2 times you want to have my wife on, and I'll give it to her, and she'll get back to you. How's that?
Yes, I will definitely do that. You got it.
Any idea how many people you have watching your show or listening?
I don't know right now, but you know, we're broadcasting over. It goes over to YouTube, and it goes over to like I'll post it on my sites, and then I've got like I don't know 15,000 here.
Cool. Well, keep cooking. The world needs to hear from you. You're
Yes.
smart.
And yeah, and feel free to come on anytime. We can continue these conversations, and you can tell us all the wonderful stories that you have.
I'll get you some other interesting people too. But thank you. I'll do that.
Okay, Mark. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Much love you. Bye-bye. All right. Let's see. So, Julie, I'm going to call you up real quick. Mark has muted. Welcome to the show.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Lovely. I don't know if you can see me or anything, but never mind. It's just lovely to discover you here.
Oh, that's so nice. And so where did you find me? Over on YouTube?
No, I know you from Wisdom originally.
Oh, so
we got on well in Wisdom, and I liked you very much. I liked the things that you were talking about, and your presence there.
Aww.
And it's been really missed by me.
Oh.
So when I discovered you on here, I was like, hooray, wonderful. She's here. I can come and say hello. So that's what I thought I'd do. I'd just sort of pop on and say hello to you and
I appreciate
tell you I'm behind you and supporting you and enjoying.
Yes. You. Oh, so that's, that just touches my heart. I'm glad you're here on the Rich Code Club because, I have the Mary Lee show on Sundays at 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I've been following you. I found you and followed you, so I get I get to know what you're doing and get alerts for you as well. So that's nice. So I can sit here happily.
Good.
Oh wow, there she is again. She's great. And the thing that I wanted to say to you, why I find you so wonderful, is you are just perfectly real with what you do, and that is such a rarity these days.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm glad I found you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I am definitely on a mission. It's so important to me to teach the world about love, and the true meaning of it. And I don't know if you were on earlier or not. I was telling Mark that I just launched the game. Did you hear about the game?
No.
My book?
No. Can you tell me?
Yes. So, okay. Well, I didn't expect this, but what another gift, huh, Mark? All right. Well, okay. So the game is basically what I've done is I've simplified the complexity of love by breaking down all of the things that we think we know about love into board pieces a player, rules, and then the 5 gates to recognizing your player. So when you start to learn that everything in your life can be conquered, managed, overcome just by these pieces on the board, and you're watching all your behaviors, don't break the rule, don't break the rule, and all you need is one move, just one move. Not anymore, because we overthink things, we over-explain things, we are fearful, we the what ifs, we try to anticipate and come to conclude. We don't need to do any of that.
Yeah.
It's one move. And
It's like almost saying that we have such an urge to manipulate things. We have such an urge to be, influential over things.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
naturalness of it as an experience is then missed.
You're absolutely right. So let me describe what you're describing in game talk. We have 2 players, right? So when we're manipulating, it means we're in fear mode. We are trying to anticipate what our player is going to do, what move they're going to make, what are they going to say, how they're going to respond, how are they going to think, blah, blah, blah. And then try to adjust ourselves according to our calculations.
Yes.
In the game, what the game does is it makes us very responsible for just our move in the moment. So you can't manipulate, you can't speculate, you can't draw conclusions, you can't judge, none of that. You have to just stay on the board with your pieces and wait for your player to move.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely brilliant. This is why I love you so much, because my words, I go all the way around the marbly bush to say something that you can say, right, this is what you're saying, and it's perfect. It's really digestible, absorbable, and easy.
Yes, and it's very clear, because what we're doing is, with all of our good intentions, our execution isn't good. We mess that up, and so we're combining our pieces with the rules that we're not supposed to be breaking, and we create chaos and confusion. So what I've done is I've separated them for all of us, so we can go, I can't do that. So you got to think, what move am I going to make? And then you're going to think about it and be like, no, I can't do that either. That's a rule. That's a rule. That's a rule. I can't do that. And it really opens up your mind to be responsible about our responses.
Yes, it does. It gets us to have a look at them.
Well, yeah. So everybody listening, go get the game, go to Amazon, go get the game, go get Ask. Those are 2 books you need to go get today. Start reading and enjoy. Oh my goodness.
Discovery.
That's right. And that's how we improve ourselves, and then we learn to live better.
This is what this whole experience is about being adventurous in our curiosity.
That's right.
And discovering things.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Thanks for being a guide.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah. And the more we can illuminate ourselves, we can illuminate others.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go. Well, I appreciate you coming on. It's something I did not expect at all on this show. But
you are amazing. That's what I've got to say. And I'll leave you to it, and I'll still be in the background listening. And just thanks so much, Marilee. It's great to find you again.
Oh, I appreciate you. And make sure that, on Sundays at 11, you come on and we can talk longer. You can totally interrupt me there. Or if you want to be on the show and you and I want to talk, let's have a show, let's do that too. I'm thinking about starting another one just for the game, but I'll launch that and talk about it later. But for now, there's 2 things we all have to do, and that's go buy Ask and go get the game. And then we'll come back and we'll have fun. All right. I love you all. Mark, thank you so much again for being on the show, making it great. And I will talk to you guys next time. Make sure you hit the follow button so you get notified when I come on. Okay. Bye, everyone. Love you. Oh, and by the way, I forgot. Go to therichcodeclub.com and you will find all of our co-authors there from Cracking the Rich Code. And you can talk to them, you can message them, and you can get mentored and all kinds of good stuff. So get connected. All right, I'm going. Bye.
It's no secret